Hello and welcome to Your Government in Action, a presentation of Bahamas Information Services. I'm Carissa Williamson. The government is moving ahead with legislation for the creation and regulation of the cannabis industry specifically for medicinal purposes as outlined in its Blueprint for Change introduced in 2021. Minister of Health and Wellness Dr. the Honorable Michael Darville contributed to this debate towards this end in the House of Assembly on July 15, 2024.
On May 15, 2024, after extensive stakeholder consultation, I finally laid in this Honorable House the three principal pieces of legislation in the compendium that is before us this morning. The Cannabis Bill 2023, the Dangerous Drug Amendment Bill 2023, and the Pharmacy Amendment Bill 2023. Today, the 15th of July, 5 days after celebrating 51 years of independence, I thank God to be alive and as the Minister of Health to move for the first time in this Honorable House the compendium of cannabis bills that on passing would bring into force all of the aspects that we have been waiting for treatment, for prescribing medical cannabis, and finally establishing the multi-million-dollar cannabis industry that would be owned, operated, and regulated by Bahamians. Mr. Deputy, as a result of our administration's multi-ministerial approach to cannabis legislation and years of collaboration and research, input from my ministry, the AG's office, religious groups, the Ministry of Agriculture and Marine Resources, the Ministry of National Security, civil society, we believe we have a solid piece of legislation that on passing will govern the use of medical cannabis in our jurisdiction. Yes, many of us have worked tirelessly for years, and despite the odds, we are here today to debate these bills. I must make it very clear from the onset of my contribution that we consulted extensively, met with some members of the former Cannabis Commission, and yes, incorporated many aspects of that report within these legislations, as well as recommendations from the chairman of the Cannabis Commission, who we consider to be a well-respected scientist, retired senior law enforcement professional. Mr. Deputy, we met with the Bahamas Christian Council, law enforcement agencies. We listened to their specific concerns. Mind you, we didn't agree with everything that was said, but we were satisfied that our legal drafters captured many of the recommendations in the bills before us today. Mr. Deputy, late 2021, our administration presented to the Bahamian people our blueprint for change and promised that if blessed with the opportunity to govern, we will not just talk the talk, but we would walk the walk. We would recover and rebuild from COVID-19 and take the bold steps to revolutionize our healthcare system and improve health outcomes across the country. In the speech from the throne read by Her Excellency Cynthia Mother Pratt, our Governor General, Her Excellency reiterated the fact that our administration planned to deliver initiatives that will benefit Bahamians in the short, medium, and long term. One such mandate is in regard to medical cannabis industry. As outlined in our Blueprint for Change, our administration committed to develop a comprehensive regulatory framework for growing, harvesting, exporting cannabis, manufacturing cannabis products, ensuring that the industry create opportunities for many Bahamians across the country. To ensure that all Bahamians are given full access to economic development and have a fair opportunity to become owners of the cannabis industry. To develop robust regulatory regimes to strictly monitor and minimize negative impacts the industry could have on our international reputation. And finally, by way of the Investment Board, encourage joint ventures in medical cannabis industry with reputable international partners. Mr. Deputy, this David Les administration has done it again with the laying of another major landmark piece of legislation, the cannabis bills, and we are asking for full support on both sides of the political divide. Mr. Deputy, you know what I find so amazing is all that we're doing in healthcare, education, tourism, energy reform, youth sports and culture, housing, financial services sector, and growing our local economy. It bewilders me on how some members who have done little or nothing in their first half of their term in office before Hurricane Dorian and COVID-19 can spew out the negative narrative that nothing tangible is happening in the country and healthcare reform is at a standstill. Mr. Deputy, I travel from place to place. I am encouraged by the positive feedback from many Bahamians across our country who really appreciate what we are doing, because even a blind man can see the transformative steps that are being taken by this administration to bring relief for the Bahamian people. Mr. Deputy, my mama, God rest her soul, used to say, son, don't mind the noise of the market, watch the price of the fish. Our Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Philip Brave Davis, is a humble, hard-working servant of the people, and despite the naysayers, continue to rub shoulders with kings and has never lost the personal touch. Under his leadership, we have accomplished much in the last 29 months, and these bills before us today is just another one of our administration's major accomplishments.
Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, the Honorable Philip Davis, KC, during his contribution in the House of Assembly on July 15, 2024, said that he supports the compendium of bills concerning the legalization, decriminalization, and regulation of the cannabis industry, specifically for medicinal purposes, and he says that it was a long time coming.
For years, Bahamians have called for an administration to have the courage to step up and take this issue on in a decisive and responsible manner. While many other countries, including nations within our region, like Jamaica, Trinidad, and Tobago, Antigua and Barbuda, Barbados, have taken steps toward decriminalization and legalization for medical use, Bahamians were left wondering when it would be our turn to modernize our local approach to cannabis. The national dialogue has been ongoing for the better part of a decade. Many people thought change was imminent when the Marijuana Commission began its work in October 2018 under the previous administration. These efforts culminated in a preliminary report delivered in January 2020 and a final report delivered in August 2021. The Commission cited a wide range of in-person discussions and public opinion research, noting that there appeared to be widespread public support for the legalization of cannabis for medical purposes. There was also healthy support for decriminalization and an appetite for strong regulatory and enforcement framework to ensure high standards for this new industry. The recommendations of the Commission call for legalization for medical use, decriminalization for small amounts, legalization for use as a religious sacrament for members of the Rastafarian community, as well as strict regulations to ensure the quality and safety of the local cannabis product. In our Blueprint for Change, the PLP's Blueprint for Change, we committed to developing a comprehensive regulatory framework for growing, harvesting, and exporting cannabis to create opportunities for Bahamians. The approach we developed to legislating and regulating cannabis was informed by widespread research and consultation. It was partially based on the CARICOM Regional Commission on Marijuana's research and findings, as well as the approaches of other jurisdictions like Jamaica, Barbados, and Canada, where cannabis has been legalized and regulated. Our goal was to ensure that we develop the most fair, balanced, and effective legislative and regulatory mechanisms which would allow us to reap economic and health benefits while promoting law and order and keeping our people safe through the introduction of stringent standards. Once we felt that we had an adequate draft, we released the draft bills publicly, and we held a number of stakeholder consultation sessions led by the Attorney General's office, in which we sat down with major stakeholders, groups like healthcare providers, leaders of our church community, advocates for legislation, leaders of the Rastafarian community, some of whom I see here today, as well as those who had concerns about the impact of legalization and decriminalization on the proliferation of usage. These varied opinions were taken into account, and adjustments were made to achieve the most practical and effective approach that would work best for the Bahamian people. We also paid close attention to ongoing research on the issue, the most recent of which was a survey conducted nationally by Public Domain in 2023, which indicated that 61% of the population supported the legalization of cannabis for medical usage. It was clear that the times had changed, and it was time for our laws to change as well. We have been hard at work since 2021. We knew this was not a process we could rush. There was a recognized need for carefulness and due diligence, but there was also a need to ensure that this new legislative and regulatory regime could be introduced and implemented within this term. We could not simply kick the can down the road for our next term the way other administrations did. No, Madam Speaker, we could not delay these changes, not when so many people had waited for years for real action to be taken. Today, the wait is over. We are taking action on behalf of all of the people who simply wanted the ability to legally consume medical cannabis, and for those in their religious setting to do so, to help them with their medical conditions and to advance their religious beliefs. There are people with children suffering from epilepsy who have been praying for this moment. There are people with glaucoma who want the opportunity to potentially alleviate their condition with a cost-effective and natural treatment. There are people living with autoimmune conditions, chronic pain like lupus, anxiety, depression, heartaches, and other ailments who are waiting not so patiently for this day. We are taking action for the many men and women living with criminal records for carrying small amounts of cannabis, and the many others who will be spared criminal records as a result of decriminalization. As a society, we realize that the old approach taken against cannabis in the war on drugs in the 1980s and 90s does not necessarily reflect our current reality. Too many lives have been lost because of a joint. Too many lives have been handicapped and potentials lost. And when I say this, I say it from my own personal experience, having practiced in the criminal courts of this land. The many potentials of young men and women that has been crushed and handicapped because of one joint. Right? After all, I'm not saying this because it is my intent to excuse those who choose to break the law. In fact, I often say to those who smoke, I said, look, if someone come to my house and they may meet me, the police come to my house, meet me drinking a glass of gin and tonic, they may join me. If they come there meet me with a joint, they can carry me. That's the difference. So I stick with my gin and tonic. You know, because, and I tell those, look, put that down and I will join you in advocating for the liberalization of the law rather than you break the law. Because after all, I say, when I say it is not my intent to excuse those who choose to break the law. I don't excuse them for that. After all, as I said, the law is the law. It must be respected and upheld. But we also recognize that the law is not static. It is dynamic. and the interpretation of the law and how it serves the greater good of society could and should change over time.
More of Your Government in Action when we return. Welcome back. The Ministry of Health and Wellness is continuing its transformative journey to complete digitization. This, according to the Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. the Honorable Michael Darville, at a ceremony held at the National Training Agency for the first cohort to complete the Introduction to Computers course.
The reason why we're here today is because our managers in information systems for health is responsible for us to go through a smooth system to be able to digitize, and no better place to start is at our medical records. The reason why this is important because the medical records is the first element for us to go into eClinical Works, which means that we are about to digitize medical records both in the Department of Public Health and at our tertiary hospitals, Sandals Rehabilitation Center, the Princess Margaret Hospital, and the Rand Memorial Hospital. Which means that all of us will walk around with a card that can access our healthcare records in a digital space. It's complicated because we need to have cloud technology. We need to have infrastructure, we need high-speed internet service, and we need internet connectivity at all of our clinics and hospitals. The Bahamian patient will be able to go anywhere with their digital record, and that record can be updated, and that record will be your record, which would allow us to access with all the cybersecurity mechanisms. This is important, because we find ourselves in the analog world looking for files. Sometimes we can't find the file. Sometimes the file goes missing and it's at someone's desk, and so you in medical records and you can't find the file. And it puts the patient at a disadvantage, because when you practice medicine, the medical history is almost as important as the patient that's in front of you. So, the first place we start is at medical records. And so we sent our team in to our clinics, and you're the first pilot because here we have representatives from Adelaide Clinic, the Adolescent Health Clinic, Anstown Clinic, the Carmichael Road Detention Center, Elizabeth Estates Clinic, Flamingo Gardens, Fleming Street Clinic, Foxhill Clinic, Gambier, School Health Services, and the South Beach Clinic. This training that you have received will go throughout all of our clinics in the Department of Public Health. So we go into our medical record department and we provide the introductory level that will lay the foundation for what is to come, that was completely articulated by our senior IS for Health Manager, Mr. Strawn. We are going to transform healthcare services that will improve productivity in the clinic. We'll be able to do a better customer service where our appointment system will prevent patients from being in the clinic for hours waiting to see a doctor. We must, and we have to, improve our services throughout the public service or our public clinics. I want to speak a little bit about what national health insurance means. The Bahamas launched in 2016 universal primary health care coverage by way of national health insurance. Where are we going with this? I am mandated to deliver the second phase of national health insurance, which is catastrophic insurance. This is not the appropriate time to speak about it, but we're moving in the direction where, in the very distant future, we will be able to give every Bahamian in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas access to a basic health care coverage, both at the primary and the tertiary level. Where are we going with this? In the very near future, every citizen in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas will be a private patient. Isn't that amazing? And the government will have to develop, yes, the government will have to develop the social programs that are necessary to cover those who are unemployed, indigents, and those individuals who can't afford it, but we're moving in the direction where all of us will be a private patient and have the ability to access services at places of our choice. What does that mean for our clinics? If we do not upgrade our clinics and digitize our clinics, we will be left behind. And our clinics will be empty, and the private sector will be booming. So it's important for us now in the ministry to work hard to develop our public health care facilities. Now, I can say this, our public health care facilities have some of the best, well-qualified technical and support staff in any clinic in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Give yourself a round of applause. Where we have fallen short is we have not been able to implement the appropriate training so that our staff can be able to take us where we want to go. And so as we begin to digitize, we must make sure that everyone who is a part of that process have the IT skills necessary to accomplish the task. I'm excited where we're going. And all of this funding is coming by way of an IDB loan where money is in place. So the Ministry of Health is going through a digital transformation.
The Ministry of Social Services, Information and Broadcasting is set to celebrate and promote strong families with National Family Week. A press conference was held on July 18, 2024, to provide details and a calendar of events for this initiative.
History records that the strongest nations in the world have the strongest families who submit to values and pursue knowledge. Strong families produce strong communities. The Bahamas have a strong family structure that is under threat. Most of us are used to the village helping to raise our children. Over time, our family structure weakened. Attacks on the family by way of increased levels of abuse, violence, crime, disasters, divorce, and financial challenges, among others, have contributed to the decline. With the mandate to address matters concerning the family, the Ministry of Social Services, Information and Broadcasting intends to be more proactive with responding to these matters. Statistics indicate that while we have evidence of the benefits of strong families, the unraveling of family life is contributing to the socio-economic decay in some of our communities. In 2016, poverty rate stood at 12.5%. However, we are making progress. The employment rate is on the increase. In July 2022, the Inter-American Development Bank estimated that the unemployment rate in the Bahamas stood at 18%. As of May 2023, the rate had been reduced to 8.8%, lower than pre-pandemic levels in 2019, which stood at 9.5%. That rate has since increased to, I think, 9.9%. While we acknowledge that financial stress has its consequences, families with hope and opportunity will break through and conquer these challenges. I was born in Crooked Island. My family did not have much, but we had faith and we worked hard. I was actually born in Nassau. I was raised in Crooked Island. The Ministry of Social Services, Information and Broadcasting is working diligently to empower its clients to move from dependency to self-sufficiency and on to economic empowerment. Our various departments within the ministry's portfolio are adjusting and expanding to utilize a holistic approach to achieve our vision and goals to help make the lives of Bahamians better. The departments are developing year-long strategies for annual events designed to realize its goals. The Department of Gender and Family Affairs has organized National Family Week. This week serves as a launching pad for a year-long campaign to strengthen the family. We are pleased to announce that the Bahamas Christian Council has agreed to partner with our initiative. During the year-long campaign, progress reports will be made. I'd like to thank Bishop Delta Fernanda and his organization for partnering with us. Reestablishing our strength as family is a shared responsibility of every adult Bahamian. I am confident that the culture of strong families can be aggressively restored when you and I intentionally mentor and inspire our children to be their best selves. It requires discipline, skills, and pursuit of knowledge. It also requires teamwork and collaboration. One of the highlights of the launch of the Stronger Families campaign is a commitment by the Bahamas Christian Council to integrate teachings on the family on a regular basis. Our ministry has produced this brochure that will be highlighted that highlights 10 ways for a stronger family. We are committed to building stronger communities. From July 25th to the 31st, 2024, a number of activities have been organized to create an enabling environment for stronger families. We invite churches throughout the Bahamas to celebrate families within their respective churches on Saturday and Sunday, July 20th and 21st, respectively. On Monday, July 22nd, staff of the ministry will pause for a time of reflection and worship. The Planning Committee has organized a Family Empowerment Forum scheduled for Thursday, July the 25th. This event will take place via Zoom and face-to-face in the hearing room right here at John F. Kennedy Drive. We encourage all of you to come out and participate in the sporting races at the Family Sports and Fun Day on Saturday, July 27th at the Thomas A. Robinson Stadium. This promises to be a day of recreation, fun, and entertainment. Families can come out and take part. There'll be lots of prizes and surprises. A Men's Empowerment Forum will be held on Monday, July 29th. We encourage our men to come out and join in the discussion on issues that affect the men and boys of our nation. The Department of Gender and Family Affairs can be contacted for further details on these initiatives. Over the next few months, empowerment strategies for men and women will be strengthened through training programs, retooling for maximized productivity, and skills development. We look forward to your continued collaboration and support in these initiatives, and I thank you.
I'm Carissa Williamson, and this has been Your Government in Action, a proud presentation of Bahamas Information Services. Join us on Tuesday evenings where we bring you highlights, coverage, and information as we continue to do what we do best, linking people and government.